For most teams, beginning another season in the National Football League means a chance to begin anew, and with the opportunity to display improved abilities, expectations of greatness fire the league with the elusive promise of success. But for the Detroit Lions and head coach Rick Farzano, adverse circumstances lent uncertainty to the expected improvement of the 1974 season. Farzano took command in Detroit following the tragic death of Don McCafferty, which occurred only 1 week before the exhibition season opened. Many felt that this would be just too great of an obstacle to overcome in one season. And while staging a comeback would indeed prove to be difficult, the solution to the problem would be found in the positive enthusiasm of Rick Farzano and his 1974 Detroit Lions during the year of the comeback. One such player is running back Alfie Taylor, number 42, the Lions' leading rusher in 1974. Taylor holds the Detroit rushing attempt record and is closing fast on the all-time Lion rushing yard record, presently held by Nick Petrosanti. It's expected that by the 1975 season that Alfie Taylor will be rejoined in the Lions' backfield by Big Steve Owens, who will be coming off of corrective knee surgery to get the tough yardage inside. The Lions' most valuable offensive player was quarterback Bill Munson, number 19. The 11-year veteran won the starter's job in preseason with pinpoint passing, and it carried over and figured heavily in the Lions' comeback year of '74. Claiming his finest season since 1968, Munson frequently used the good hands of Larry Walton, number 49, to pick the opposition apart. While Larry Walton grabbed the season-high number of passes, tight end Charlie Sanders equaled his with 42 receptions and well over 500 yards. Sanders' performance earned him a trip to the Pro Bowl. However, when Bill Munson was looking for the big, quick strike over the middle, he was generally searching for and finding speedster Ron Jesse, number 89. Ron Jesse more than doubled his previous season reception count by grabbing 54 passes and finished 6th in the entire NFL in receiving. Shoulder to shoulder in the Lions' successful comeback bid had been the steady secondary play of crafty veteran Lem Barney at one corner and safety Charlie West, who replaced an injured Mike Uyghur at safety. Both lent valuable experience and confidence to the crew's younger members, like number 26, second-year safety Dick Giron. Giron logged more playing time than any other Lion, while also making his first appearance in the Pro Bowl. Joining Giron for a spectacular second season was cornerback Levi Johnson, number 23. Johnson led the team in interceptions with 5 and fit in nicely with a defensive unit that truly loved to turn people around. Tabbed as too little to play in the National Football League, special teamer Jimmy Too Small Jones quickly established that size can be deceptive. Jones returned more kicks for more yards than any other Lion in history, averaging 25 yards each time he touched the football. Herman Thunderfoot Weaver punted a career-high 72 times during the season, and barely half of his kicks were even returned. Among those assigned to covering Weaver's rain-making spirals were bomb squatters Ed O'Neill, Mike Hennigan, Jim Thrower, John Small, T.C. Blair, and Jimmy Jones, and everybody took their shot. When it came to blocking punts, none matched the Lions' efforts, as the Big Blue led the NFL in blocked punts and all but took the fun out of the kicking game for opposing kickers.
On the shores of Lake Michigan, there's a very old NFL team with a very new look, principally because Abe Gibron's quarterback is now number 19, second-year man Gary Huff. Last year against Detroit, Huff was intercepted 3 times in one game by free safety Dick Geron. In last week's opener, Geron intercepted Huff's first pass of the game. But Detroit was not able to cross Chicago's goal line until the 4th period when Steve Owens finally scored for the Lions. Detroit's only other points came when Jim Mitchell blocked a Bob Parsons punt out of the end zone for a safety. The rest of the day was pure torture for quarterback Bill Munson and the Lions. 6 times Munson was trapped, and the Bear defense held the Lion offense to a meager 156 yards total.
Following a loss in Week 1 to Chicago, the Lions opened their 1974 home campaign by giving the Minnesota Vikings a taste of their own medicine. It's called defense. The Detroit Team D allowed the defending NFC champs a mere 7 points, and then watched on as number 19 quarterback Bill Munson directed his offense on a guided tour of Viking land. Altie Taylor and Steve Owens pulled Munson's expedition to the Minnesota 1-yard line. Then, facing 4th down, the Lions vetoed a sure 3 points and went instead for 7. Detroit failed on 4th down to punch it in, and the result was devastating, as the best they could manage were 2 field goals in a 7-6 loss to the Vikings. The margin of defeat had been narrow in numbers and short in distance.
It was a perfect day for football in Detroit, and as always, before the game, the two teams practiced the skills they would need to win. For the Lions, drills in fumble recovering might be the key to an upset over the long-standing nemesis Vikings. And on the opening kickoff, their practice paid off. Detroit recovered 2 Viking fumbles and even blocked a punt in Minnesota territory. Despite this rare display of generosity by the Vikings, the Minnesota defense had little difficulty with Detroit's decidedly conservative offense. Altie Taylor into the line, followed by Steve Owens into the line. On third down, the Vikings waited for Bill Munson to pass into the flat. It was an entirely frustrating experience for the Detroit offense, and in particular for quarterback Bill Munson, who at times looked like a man with a problem to which there is no solution. While the Lion offense appeared inept to many observers, much of the credit for no Detroit touchdowns must go to the Minnesota defense, still a veritable purple pulverizer of opponents' passers. When he had to, Fran Tarkenton moved the Viking offense with passes to super smooth John Gilliam. The game's only touchdown came about on a ridiculously easy maneuver by Chuck Foreman. And for Minnesota, it was a 7-6 victory and 13 straight over the Lions. For Detroit and its fans, there was only one thing left to do.
The next week against the Green Bay Packers, the same 2 elements combined to haunt the Lions, as Arrowman's 47-yard last-second field goal fell just inches short. The Packers escaped with a 2-point victory, while Detroit absorbed its 3rd consecutive defeat of the season.
For the 3rd straight week, the Detroit Lions faced an NFC Central Division foe, and the Lions' new head coach, Rick Perzano, was still looking for victory number 1, this time against the Green Bay Packers. The Lions' defense, which had been the big question mark prior to the season, continued to be the Lions' strength. After limiting the Minnesota Vikings to just 7 points the previous week, the Detroit defense held John Brockington to just 46 yards in 16 carries. And it was the Detroit defense which set up the Lions' first score when Packer quarterback Jerry Tagge was forced to scramble. His fumble was recovered by Herb Orvis, and 6 plays later, Arrowman booted a 37-yarder, giving Detroit a 3-0 lead. Late in the quarter, Bill Munson, subbing for the injured Greg Landry, swung a pass to Altie Taylor, and Taylor raced for a 34-yard gain, setting up Arrowman's 2nd field goal, making the score 6-0 Detroit. Green Bay got on the board 1 series later. When Detroit could not move, number 56 Ted Hendricks spiked Herman Weaver's punt out of the end zone for a safety. The score was 6-2. And 1 series later, Green Bay added a field goal, making it 6-5. But Billy Munson stepped back and hit number 49 Larry Walton behind Kenny Ellis for a 39-yard touchdown. Detroit 13-8 at halftime. Midway through the 3rd quarter, Jerry Tagge found the range, hitting Barry Smith with a 27-yarder, and Green Bay took the lead for the first time, 18-16. But 1 play after the kickoff, Munson found number 45, Ray Jarvis, with a 25-yard pass. Jarvis added another 31, and 4 plays later, Errol Mann reclaimed the lead for Detroit, hitting on a 28-yard attempt, making the score Detroit 19, Green Bay 18. But then Green Bay's 3 yards and a cloud of dust offense began to take control of the football. After one 14-play drive netted them nothing, and another 10-yard drive fell just short of the goal line, Chester Marco banged up a short field goal, which gave Green Bay a 21-19 lead with less than a minute remaining. But 3 plays later, with 24 seconds remaining, Errol Mann stood 47 yards from victory. Mann's kick fell short, leaving the Lions on the short end of a 21-19 score. Soaked Southern California afternoon started out looking like one of those days for the Rams, when Dave Chappell's punt was blocked by Levi Johnson and recovered by Ken Sanders of the Detroit Lions. Led by their own Sunshine Superman, number 74, Merlin Olsen, the Rams defense turned away this early threat by the Lions with no points on the board. Late in the first quarter, Lawrence McCutcheon, number 30, burst up the middle for 15 of his 124 yards he would gain on the afternoon. 12 plays later, John Hadle completed the 80-yard drive with this 4-yard scoring pass to tight end Bob Klein, and Los Angeles took a 7-0 lead. But Detroit's improved defense struck right back on the Rams' next series. John Hadle's pass was short-circuited by number 72 Ernie Price, a second-year defensive end from Texas A&I. But the play was nullified by a roughing the passer penalty, and Los Angeles maintained possession. John Hadle picked out Lance Rensel with this aerial, marking Hadle's 2,000th completion as a pro, and setting up a short field goal by David Ray, giving Los Angeles a 10-0 lead at half. Late in the third quarter, Tony Baker rammed over from 2 yards out, and a missed extra point left the Rams' advantage at 16-0. But on a day that was proving to be surprisingly tough for superheroes in general, the Detroit defense would allow the Rams' well-stacked attack no more scoring opportunities. And it was the Lions who began taking the play to the Rams as Bill Munson exceeded 10,000 yards in passing offense for a career just before he hit Ron Jesse with his 34-yard spectacular, narrowing the score to 16-7 at the top of the fourth period. Too late in the last quarter, with just 24 seconds remaining, Munson found Charlie Sanders open in the end zone, and Errol Mann's missed extra point try made the final score 16-13 at the end of a difficult victory for Los Angeles, reminding the superheroes everywhere that success need not always be unblemished.
Played well, and it continued to do so in Week 4 against the Los Angeles Rams. Defensive end Ernie Price, number 72, romped in with an apparent touchdown, but the play was voided by a penalty, canceling a Lion comeback bid 16-13. Separated from victory by a total of 14 points over 4 games, the Lions silently vowed that they would come back. In a Monday night clash with the San Francisco 49ers, Detroit began to reverse proceedings on a 4-game skid. Mixing an occasional big play with the power bursts of fullback Steve Owens, number 36, the offense mounted time-consuming marches en route to the 49er end zone. Steve Owens scored once, while Bill Munson got another one with an off-balance strike to Larry Walton, number 49. Walton's catch between 2 49er defensemen gave the Lions a lead that San Francisco would never catch. Later, middle linebacker Jim Laslovic, number 52, continued the Lion festivities by halting a 49er drive with his first interception as a pro. Laslovic and linebacker Charlie Weaver each picked off one, as did second-year sensation Levi Johnson, number 23. Johnson's interception and return of 44 yards set up a field goal which iced the season's first win at 17-13. Next for Detroit would be the Super Bowl-bound Minnesota Vikings, a team which they had not beaten in their last 13 tries. In NFL game number 500 for the Lions, a rugged defense checked the Minnesota scoring attack, allowing only a field goal during a hard-fought first half. With its defense displaying solid form, the Lions' offense purred smoothly on the passes of Bill Munson and the runs of number 42, Altie Taylor. Taylor's touchdown had Detroit on top 13-10 before the Vikings rallied behind Fran Tarkenton. Now trailing by 3 points in the fourth quarter, all Detroit hopes rested on number 19, Bill Munson, and his ability to move the club. Once in close, Munson handed to Altie Taylor, who thundered in for a 20-16 lead. However, displaying the poise that has won them 2 consecutive NFC titles, the Vikings again threatened, and Detroit was badly in need of a big play to preserve the win. Lem Barney, a name synonymous with big plays, silenced Minnesota's final flurry, protecting the 20-16 Detroit victory and touching off a celebration which marked the end of Viking domination. Because of the victory, Rick Fazzano awarded his club the right to wear white shoes and mustaches. And without question, the same club which many had completely counted out had now completed step number 2 of the comeback.
Any team you've beaten 13 straight times is bound to be welcome, but the Lions weren't welcome for long. Larry Walton made it to the 1, and typically Detroit fumbled on the next play. But this time it only made the Lions mad enough to come back harder. Altie Taylor's return to the lineup helped, as did a 22-for-32 passing day by Bill Munson. Ron Jesse caught 10 passes, and even the one he dropped in the end zone didn't kill the Lions, who led 6-3 at the half. But early in the third quarter, Fran Tarkenton, the NFC's leading passer, found his second-year wide receiver Jim Lash for a long gainer to the Detroit 2-yard line. From there, the Vikings scored their first touchdown, and on their next possession, they scored again when Fran Tarkenton scrambled to his left and let fly for Chuck Foreman, whose 10th touchdown of the season made him a runaway leader as the NFL's top scorer. Unlike the previous 13 games between these teams, in this one, the Lions kept roaring back. Altie Taylor's fourth quarter touchdown gave Detroit the lead at 20-16, and then the Lions defense took over the game. Number 80, Herb Orvis, came up with one important play, but perhaps the game's biggest defensive play occurred with just 16 seconds to play, when Fran Tarkenton went all out for the game winner. Sly old Lem Barney played the ball perfectly and saved the day for the Lions, a day he had not seen for a long time. After 13 consecutive embarrassments, Detroit had finally beaten Minnesota, And as Lion coach Rick Forzano said afterward, quote, "We're striving for 10-4 now. Tell Green Bay and those other people we're going after them."
In the season's 5th week, defensive tackles Jim Mitchell, Billy Howard, and number 80 Herb Orvis teamed with ends Ken Sanders, Ernie Price, and number 74 Larry Hand to apply some heavy pressure on the Green Bay Packer offense. Supporting the down linemen were 3 top-notch linebackers. The middle was ably manned by second-year pro Jim Laslovic, number 52, while the outside was guarded by number 59, Charlie Weaver, and old pro Paul Dumoff, number 50. Coordination between the Lion front 4 and linebackers was good enough to register 3 quarterback sacks as team play became contagious and soon spread to the offensive line. There, tackles Jim Yarborough, Gordon Jolly, and Rocky Freitas, guards Bob Kolakowski and Chuck Walton, and centers Ed Flanagan and Guy Dennis provided ample protection for Bill Munson to sort out the 5th member of the offensive wall, tight end Charlie Sanders, number 88. Sanders recorded a personal high of 146 yards while also scoring Detroit's first touchdown. By the 3rd period, Detroit trailed, and so Bill Munson fired deep for Larry Walton. Walton's super reception brought the Lions back, but then down by a single point, and with less than 30 seconds remaining, Bill Munson found the sure-handed Charlie Sanders, gaining good field position. Facing 4th down and with the clock showing only 14 seconds, place kicker Errol Mann took good advantage of a second chance to beat the Packers. From 41 yards out, Mann's kick was true, avenging the near miss which had in week 2 cost the Lions a victory, and Detroit had won the rematch 19-17.
Number 10, Jack Concannon, found his first starting assignment as a Green Bay Packer quarterback a little less than easy. Three times the 10-year veteran fell before a thunderous barrage of blue shirts as the Lion defenders temporarily plugged the Packer cannon. But while the Detroit defense sizzled, its offense fizzled, and number 19, Bill Munson, felt the Packer crunch. Munson overcame the Packer pressure long enough, however, to put Detroit in front, connecting with tight end Charlie Sanders for 6. Green Bay retaliated with the dead-eye passing of Jack Concannon. And though this strike to John Staggers was voided by a penalty, by the 3rd period, Concannon had the Lions working to overcome a 10-9 lead. Larry Walton's touchdown put the Lions up by 6, leaving Jack Concannon the fourth quarter in which to challenge Detroit. John Brockington's catch put Green Bay in close, setting up a Concannon sneak and a 17-16 Packer advantage. With a missed conversion as the difference, it again seemed as though tough luck had befallen the Motor City men. But behind the rock-solid leadership of Bill Munson, Detroit began to make their own luck. Munson to number 89, Ron Jesse, clicked for good gainers and moved Detroit in for a last-ditch effort. Only minutes before, a Detroit field goal was blocked, and now with but 14 seconds left, place kicker Errol Mann would receive a rare second chance. Mann's 41-yarder held true to give the Detroit Lions a 19-17 win over the Green Bay Packers, while creating a three-way tie for second place in the NFC Central.
Battling both the elements and the New Orleans Saints in the season's 8th week, the Lions jumped ahead early as Bill Munson sifted out Ron Jesse for the game's first touchdown. Jesse's score was protected as a 3-interception performance by the Detroit secondary all but silenced the Saints. Thefts by number 47, Charlie West, and Lem Barney greatly contributed to the New Orleans frustration, but the most irritating Lion on the field was cornerback Levi Johnson, who returned a botched New Orleans field goal 78 yards for a touchdown. Detroit's 19-14 win was their 4th in a row, and once again, Coach Jerry Glanville's special teams had been instrumental in shaping the Detroit comeback of '74.
The Lions greeted Archie with a firm embrace, a hug which finally ended in the Tiger Stadium slosh. Amid extremely damp conditions, the Saints stopped themselves on several occasions, and on several others, Detroit was obliged to halt the visitors. Detroit quarterback Bill Munson seemed unaffected by the wetness as he consistently pierced the Saints secondary for good gainers. Ron Jesse's touchdown put Detroit in front by 10, allowing the Lion defense a chance to flex its quick scoring muscle. Number 23, Levi Johnson, sailed 78 yards with a blocked field goal attempt, giving Detroit a comfortable 16-0 pad. But the New Orleans defense finally arose from a slumber to put Billy Munson's offense on its back, while allowing the Lions only 3 points in the final 2 quarters. Number 78, Billy Newsome, stripped Steve Owens of the ball, then recovered it as the Saints defenders helped to put its offense in business. The Saints' first score came on a Manning to Joel Parker hookup. The second Saint touchdown resulted when 5'5" Howard Stevens, number 22, powered in following a Detroit turnover to pull New Orleans to within 2 points, 16-14. But further Saints scoring disappeared amid second-half failures as the Saints would score no more. Detroit won it 19-14 to claim undisputed second place in the NFC Central Division. Last week it worked as the Lions came up with only one big play. This Billy Munson to Charlie Sanders hook up good for 47 yards. Then number 42, Alty Taylor, went around left him for 1 yard and the touchdown, and Detroit was finished for the day, because from then on the Raiders were no less than devastating.
After a loss in Oakland snapped a 4-game win streak, Lions special teams played a significant part in defeating the New York Giants. The blocked punt set up Detroit's first touchdown, which came on the legs of Bill Munson. Munson later threw for another, but within the final seconds, it was again up to Errol Mann to deliver another game winner. Errol Mann's 37-yard field goal was the result of excellent coordination between center Fred Rothwell and holder Sam Weiss, and Detroit claimed another close one, 20-19.
Detroit head coach Rick Berzano has brought his Lions a long way this season, and early last Sunday, the Giants saw just how far the Motor City men have come. Detroit blocked New York's first punt, giving number 19 Bill Munson good position for the game's first score. Though this Munson TD was voided by a penalty, number 19 got it back 2 plays later on a sneak. By the second quarter, Munson was having good success to his screening backs. Alty Taylor's effort was a part of a drive which eventually landed the Lions on the Giant 13-yard line. But further Lion progress eroded on Ron Jesse's fumble. And by the third quarter, the Giants were turning into big game hunters, trailing only by a 10-6 margin. Brad Van Pelt's interception set Giant quarterback Craig Morton in the good position, and number 15 clicked for 6. Bob Grimm's scoring catch, coupled with a field goal, put the Giants on the favorable side of a 16-10 advantage. And by the fourth quarter, Craig Morton was looking for more. Walker Gillette's 44-yard reception helped set up field goal number 4 by Pete Gogolak, as the New York advantage stretched to a 19-10 margin. But working against the clock, Detroit moved on the determination of number 19, Billy Munson. Bob Picard's touchdown still left the Lions short by 2. But with 7 seconds remaining at the Giant 20-yard line, Errol Mann put his foot into the New York victory plans. Mann's 37-yarder awarded Detroit a well-deserved come-from-behind win over the New York Giants, 20-19.
The following week, in a grudge match with the Chicago Bears, long punt runbacks by Dick Giron, the NFC's punt return leader in '74, set the Detroit offense in close. Then, following a shoulder separation which ended quarterback Bill Munson's season, number 11, Greg Landry, took over. And using a solid running attack faced by Alty Taylor, the Lions sped by the Bears. Taylor, Jimmy Jones, and Steve Owens all scored, while the defense picked up another one as pressure forced an off-target pass, which cornerback Levi Johnson took back the distance. Detroit handed Chicago a 34-17 whipping, pulling them above the 500 mark for the first time this season.
This has been another very lean season for the Chicago Bears, a team long slumbering in the caves of defeat. And last Sunday in the Lions' lair, they were meeting a Detroit team which has remote but real playoff aspirations. The Lions came out roaring as number 74 Larry Hand mauled Chicago quarterback Gary Huff, number 19. The pressure got to Huff early, and his errant pass was picked off by Levi Johnson, who raced in for the touchdown. Throughout the dark, cold, and rainy afternoon, the Bears were forced to punt the ball away and then see it run right back down at them by number 26 Dick Gerard, who consistently put the Lions in quick strike position. The lightning struck in the person of number 42 Alty Taylor, whose 22-yard run gave Detroit a 17-0 lead. Then, once again, it was Dick Geron slicing 58 yards to set up another Lion tally. The score by number 31, Jimmy Jones, a rookie, was his first in the NFL, and combined with a Steve Owens 1-yarder gave the Lions a 34-3 lead. Then there was a new quarterback for the Bears in the person of number 10, Bobby Douglas, who held an impromptu meeting right in the middle of the backfield. But while Douglas may have his shortcomings as a quarterback, he's one tough cookie as a halfback, and his strongly elusive scrambling moved the Bears in close. The touchdown came on a 9-yard run by Clifton Taylor, number 22, and was the first rushing touchdown by Chicago in 23 quarters of play. And since rushing was the name of the game, Bobby Douglas dished up more of the same. Bobby's scramble set up the last score of the day, which came on a 5-yard pass to Bo Rather. But it was too little too late as the prowling Lions hassled the practically dormant Bears, score 34-17.
Expected ready to kick off the 1975 football season will be Pontiac Metropolitan Stadium, a football-only facility, a stadium for all seasons. Built at a cost of $42 million by the city of Pontiac, the mammoth structure will seat 80,000, and by the 1976 season will support a Teflon air-inflated roof, thus providing fans with the utmost in year-round climate-controlled comfort. However, before a new stadium can be opened, the old one must first be closed. And filing down the narrow tunnel of Tiger Stadium for perhaps the last time, the Detroit Lions would be facing the Denver Broncos on the snow-softened turf of a Thanksgiving Day afternoon. Bolstered by a solid offensive showing, the Lions' defense came alive to close down the Denver attack. The Big D took good advantage of a Bronco miscue. The result was a halftime lead. Levi Johnson latched onto the misguided missile and set sail on a non-stop trip into the Denver end zone. Detroit at last appeared for real and needed only a good second half against the Broncos to move into solid contention for a possible wild card playoff slot. But the second half of the Denver contest brought only frustration and pain to the Detroit Lions. On the longest run of his career, Steve Owens suffered a painful knee injury that finished his season. Seemingly helpless to prevent it, Lion players watched as Denver mounted a second half rally to claim a 4-point victory. Detroit had come a long way, and no defeat would be able to silence the sterling efforts of several individuals who played a key role in the year of the comeback.
After losing 4 straight games by a total of 14 points at the beginning of the season, the spirited Detroit Lions under new head coach Rick Forzano have turned their season around, winning 6 of their last 7 games, and now facing the revitalized Denver Broncos. The Lions hope to nurse their faint playoff hopes by continuing their winning ways. Mistakes like this Charlie Johnson faux pas intercepted by Levi Johnson were pretty much the story of Denver's disappointments early this season. But the Lions could not dent an improved Denver D to cash in this opportunity. Both teams struggled in a standoff until Steve Owens broke open on the longest run of his career, good for 27 yards. And ironically, Owens was injured and lost for the rest of the season on the play. Adding insult to injury, the Broncos forced the Lions to settle for a field goal from the 1. And midway through the second quarter, Otis Armstrong ran through a trap at right guard, cut left, and erased 32 yards, setting up a 1-yard touchdown plunge by John Keyworth, making the totals Denver 10, Detroit 3. But Greg Landry, replacing the injured Bill Munson, came right back, finding Alty Taylor wide open with this 23-yard touchdown pass, knotting the score at 10. In slow motion now, on the very next series, Charlie Johnson swung a pass to Otis Armstrong, who handled it more like a volleyball, batting it to Levi Johnson. And look out, mistakes again, making the score Detroit 17, Denver 10 at the half. But the Broncos opened the second half with a perfectly executed onside kick. And riding the momentum of this aggressive play, they swept to 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. Otis Armstrong, whose 144 yards and 24 carries gave him a total of 1,082 for the season, set up the first with this 31-yard jaunt. John Keyworth took it the last hard yard. But midway through the period, Armstrong himself slipped over right in to make the score Denver 24, Detroit 20. And Charlie Johnson capped a 50-yard drive in 5 plays with this pass to Riley Odoms, increasing Denver's total to 31, and that was enough as the Broncos held on to dump the Detroit Lions for only the second time in the last 8 games, 31-27.
Week 13 found the Lions in Cincinnati for a confrontation with the Bengals. And when the visitors needed an opening score, it was the elusive number 89, Ron Jesse, who did the honors. Jesse's score was matched later by Altie Taylor on a short pop up the middle. Under the steady guidance of Greg Landry, the Lions had moved in for 2 touchdowns, and then the defense made it appear as though it might be enough. An interception by number 50, Paul Newmoff, helped to slow the potent Bengal attack, but they couldn't stop it completely. Within the final 2 minutes of play, a Bengal touchdown gave them the lead, 19-16, and the Lion cause seemed lost. However, with 53 yards separating the Lions from victory and with only 45 seconds left in which to do it, Detroit began to work its comeback magic. Ron Jesse's 45-yard reception placed the Lions on the Bengal 8-yard line, and with only 35 seconds remaining, the Detroit Lions stood poised and ready to finish yet another comeback victory. Charlie Sanders grabbed Greg Landry's game clincher, then shared the spike with Ron Jesse, as Detroit had earned the right to celebrate a team victory 23-19, a win which assured them of a .500 season.
Legs have been the problem for the Bengals in recent weeks, but certainly not the arm of Ken Anderson, who leads the NFL in passing. Legs are the problem because the Bengals have lost their 2 starting running backs. In fact, the 2 best runners that Cincinnati has are both playing defense. Early in the game, cornerback Lamar Parrish returned a punt 45 yards to set up a field goal, and later a 26-yard interception return by safety Tommy Casanova set up another. But the Lions also got good running from other than running backs, and Ron Jesse's 18-yard reverse tied the game at 6. But passing, not running, has been Cincinnati's long suit due to all the injuries, and somehow it doesn't hurt as much when you've got Isaac Curtis to run under a rainbow. Detroit got a break on this one when Curtis was called for interference, and then got another when Greg Landry's pass was intercepted by Ken Riley, a return to Detroit when intended receiver Ron Jesse spiked the ball away. The Lions added a field goal on the last play of the first half that tied the game at 9. Then early in the second half, an Altie Taylor touchdown put Detroit on top 16-9. The Bengals would move to a 4th Horst Mullman field goal on their next series. But while gaining 3 points, they lost their quarterback. Trailing by 4 with their number 1 quarterback Anderson gone, the Bengals' playoff chances looked lost. But Wayne Clark filled in quite nicely, thank you, and in the 4th period moved Cincinnati back in front. Ed Williams' touchdown gave the Bengals a 19-16 lead. But at about this time, Cincinnati learned of Pittsburgh's win, which ended the Bengals' playoff chances, while they in turn looked like they were about to foreclose on Detroit's playoff shot. Perhaps deflated by the end of their chance for postseason continuation, the Bengals let Jesse slip away for 45 yards. And on the next play, with 35 seconds left, Landry spotted Charlie Sanders with a perfect pass. Sanders gave the ball to Jesse, who spiked off camera stage left. For his outstanding performance in this game enabled the Lions to stay alive in the playoff race after their 23-19 victory over the out-of-the-playoff Cincinnati Bengals. The Lions failed to achieve their goal, an 8-6 record, because their receivers rarely cracked Philadelphia's well-covered zone defense. Quarterback Greg Landry scored the first Lion touchdown and accounted for the last with a scoring shot to run Jesse. But it was too late for Detroit as they rolled snake eyes and lost to Philadelphia 28-17.
When time finally ran out on the 1974 season, the Detroit Lions had seen the results of working as a team. They had encouraged each other to 7 victories in their final 10 games. They had learned of the intense concentration that it takes to be a winner. But of all of the lessons learned in the year of the comeback, none was more valuable than that of learning how to win. And with this basic yet difficult exercise now behind them, 1975 promises even greater accomplishments for the Detroit Lions.